Hello and thank you for tuning in to Two Wheel Time Traveler. I'm your host, Justin DeBelon, and I'm here today with Wendy Pojman. How are you doing today, Wendy?
I'm doing well. Nice to meet you, Justin.
Nice to meet you as well. So we are here today because you've got quite an excellent history when it comes to motorcycling, and you have a book right here, Connected by the Street, The Myths and Realities of Motorcyclists in the USA and Italy.
I came here for my job. I teach history at Stanford University in Albany.
Oh,
But
fantastic.
I got my PhD at Boston College, so regional, but not quite upstate New York.
Sure, okay. All right, so you are a history professor.
Correct.
And European history is?
Yes.
Okay, that's fantastic. Do you find that your studies and your teachings you've been able to tie that in to motorcycling?
Actually, yes, because just this past fall, I was able to offer a course on the history of transportation. And so I got to actually spend 3 weeks on motorcycling, which was fantastic.
So the myths and realities of motorcyclists in the USA and Italy, what are some of the main things that you touch on in this book?
So the book really originated from, it was about 14 years ago now that I actually got my motorcycle license. I took the MSF course, did reasonably well. Actually, I had 2 former students who were in my class who sat at my table when I was filling out the forms for that.
Oh, wow.
And so I got my license and something just clicked in me and I just became extremely passionate about motorcycling and everything about it. The book then really emerged from the different kinds of questions people ask me in the US versus Italy when I tell them that I ride.
What are some good examples of that?
So often in the US, there's a little bit of, oh, but you don't look like a motorcyclist. In Italy, it's very different. I think that because two wheels are so integrated into daily life, and especially in cities, but throughout the country, I don't think I know any Italians who've never been on a two-wheel vehicle. So everyone's either on, whether it's a scooter or a motorcycle, a small motorcycle or a big motorcycle. What I found out is before World War II, the histories are very, very similar. After World War II is where I think we start to see the separation of the two cultures. In the US, you have an immediate post-war economic boom, the expansion of the highway system, and by the first few years after the war, the dominance of Harley-Davidson. In Italy, instead, they don't really hit their economic boom until the late 1950s. And so, and actually a number like Ducati, their factory was heavily bombed during the war. Before World War II, they were making mostly transistors and film projectors. They were not in the motorcycling industry at all.
Okay.
So their factory was bombed and they rebuilt. They, like other emergent motorcycling manufacturers after World War II, recognized the need for two-wheel transport as they recovered from the war, because people there weren't just a lot of cars yet. That didn't really start till the late 1950s. So one other thing that happens in terms of popular culture, now that I thought about popular culture again, is a lot of motorcycle journalists point to the Hollister riots in California in 1947 when a group of motorcyclists showed up at a rally and were disruptive. It was an AMA sanctioned event. Life magazine took a lot of photos of bikers and bars with empty bottles everywhere, brawls, and of course Life magazine was read by millions of Americans, and so those images made it into American homes in the late 1940s, and arguably forever sort of linked sort of criminality to motorcycling.
Okay.
And so after that, then you also see in the film industry, so like the Wild One, Brando was supposedly based a little bit on what happened at Hollister. And so you get this whole genre in film of, bad boys on motorcycles. In Italy instead, because of, again, this integration, you see a lot of two-wheel vehicles in films, but they're just there. Right? There's not like a subculture necessarily. One difference though is that not only is their lane splitting or filtering, but there's kind of like this whole like Tetris thing or choreography. So if you're in traffic, like in Rome, you don't sit behind the cars, you go, and they're not in lanes, so you sort of go between them, you work your way up to the front where all the other two vehicles are, and you leave the light.
And it's a
And
fairly
if you
normal.
don't, right, and if you don't do that, people will get irritated behind you. And, you know, so obviously.
So it's
you
actually
have to fit.
expected.
It's expected, yeah. Obviously, you have to fit through, and that's
Sure.
one thing. Actually, I started riding single track through the woods here in upstate New York, and that helps a lot with driving in Italy because you have to sort of understand if your handlebars fit and how much space you have. So,
Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting. You know, and because I know I've talked to other 4-wheel drivers here in the United States that almost get irritated by the idea of bikes cutting up to the front.
Again, statistically, they say it's safer for us.
Sure, yeah.
We're less likely to get rear-ended because we can also be more staggered.
Makes sense. Yeah. Now, for your book, where can people get a hold of this book?
So for now, it's only available through Parigi Books. This is an imprint of Parigi Books called Parigi Press.
And if anybody wanted to reach out to you, are you available on social media?
I am. So I have probably mostly on Instagram at Wendy's Espresso Life.